Welcome back to another video, and in this video we'll be giving the ttrs a full service. So what are we going to need for that? So what we're going to need to service the ttrs is obviously some oil filter, a fuel filter, a new sump plug, a set of very expensive spark plugs. These are £150 and main dealer only, a pollen filter, or also known as a cabin filter, and an air filter, and something to drain the oil out into, and some tools. So at the moment I've got the RS running just to warm the oil up so it thins it a bit, so it will come out the sump a lot easier. I think that should do now. It's been running for a few minutes. That's all we need. So let's turn that off. And now let's crack on with the service. So now underneath the car, I already have the under tray already removed. So I had previously done that to do the power flex insert. Okay. Right, so they've sent me the wrong bush, so we're not doing the bush today. But this is your sump, this is our sump plug. So let's get this undone, which is a 19mm.
So with the sump plug removed, just letting the old oil now drain into the oil pan.
So the oil already draining out, I'm going to undo the filler and leave that to one side because it will help the oil flow out. So with the oil flowing out the sump pan, we need to think about getting the oil filter out, which is here. So I'm going to unscrew this bit, and then I'm going to use this 76mm oil filter housing remover to remove that to get to the filter.
There is a little valve underneath this cover that you can use to get the oil out of the housing, but I don't ever use that because I don't want it to break and end up with an oil leak.
So with the oil filter housing out and the old filter removed, we need to pull a seal out. And I don't know if you can see that in here. Let me put the light on. There's actually a little seal in there. And if you notice, it's got a little tab. This must always be facing up. So let's open up our new box. There is our new filter, and there's our new seal. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a bit of engine oil just to lube up this seal. It does make it seal a bit better. So a bit of oil around the seal like that, and then place over with the tab facing up, and then just make sure it's all pushed in. It's probably easier to do the seal before doing the filter, so hence why I've taken it out and done it again. Now that can go in. I will put some oil in here, so I'm going to do that now. See, I'm using a nice Miller's oil. So I'm just going to put a bit in the housing.
I always fill up the oil filter housing with some nice oil, so when you do that first start, the engine's not starving of oil. And then we just screw that housing back onto the car.
Put our cover back on. And now we're going to torque it to 25 Newton meters, and then plus another 5, taking it to 30. So with that all torqued up, we'll screw this little bung back in on the bottom.
We refit the sump plug and torque to 30 Newton meters. And then we start filling it up with some nice fresh oil. In goes the first 5 litres, whilst keep on checking on the dipstick to make sure we get between the crosshatch.
So with the oil level now measuring on the crosshatch on the dipstick, we're going to start it up, let it circulate, then we're going to turn it off, go and do the fuel filter, and then we'll come back and recheck the oil level once it's all settled and top it up if need be. So let's start it up and let it circulate.
So So with the car running, I'm going to have a quick look underneath to see if we've got any oil leaks coming from the housing or the sump plug.
So we don't seem to have any oil leaks, which is good. So I'm going to switch that off now and let it settle.
So let's crack on with the fuel filter now. So first of all, it's with the handbrake cable out of the way, and then we'll unscrew the bracket so you can release the filter from the bracket. And then we've got these 3 hoses coming out, 2 at one end, 1 on the other, which have got these horrible design clips which are round, but then there's one bit with a flat on it, and you push the flat bit in and then it makes a nice circle inside which allows the clip to fall off. But they are very, very stiff and absolute pain. As you can see, I was using pliers on it, I was using a flathead screwdriver on it, all sorts, just to get them to release. So they are an absolute nightmare. But with the old filter removed, we can now get the new filter in place, push the connectors back on, which is a lot easier, and then fix the bracket back up.
Those clips were an absolute pain in the arse. I can definitely see why no one has changed that in nearly 4 years. The date on the filter was 14th of the 10th of the 10th. But that's the manufacturing date of the filter, and trust me, I don't think that filter's been changed in a very long time because I just couldn't get those clips off. But I've managed to sort it, so hopefully when we start up it's not going to leak. So let's find that out now.
So with the car started up, the fuel system is pressurised, so now we can see if it's leaking. It seems absolutely fine. No leaks whatsoever. Those clips have clicked on absolutely perfect, so hopefully they come off a lot easier for the next person. But I'll just double check. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. That is all on lovely.
Right, so that's another job done.
So now it's time to move on to the air filter, which is a case of just undoing the Torx holding down the top of the air box and lifting it off. I decided to remove this cover out of the way as I didn't want it getting scratched as it was new. As you can see, the air filter, it wasn't too bad, and it must have been changed fairly recently, within the last year or so. But anyway, I've got a new one, so we definitely will be swapping it out. So you can clean out the air box, hoover it or something before putting the new air filter in, which is push it down, make sure it's sitting correctly, and then just refit the lid and screw down those Torx, and then that is another job done.
That's another job done. Now let's get on with the spark plugs.
So we start by removing the 2 screws holding down the coil pack loom housing, and then we unclip all the coil packs from that so we can move it out of the way. Get my airline just to blow off any dust or debris, because I don't want nothing falling down these holes. And then I remove each coil one by one with my little pry bar and a microfiber, being very careful not to cause any damage. Back in with the airline again just to make sure nothing gets down those holes. With the first spark plug removed, I can see that these probably have not been changed in a while, so I'm glad that we are changing them. Must be the cost of them that put people off. But anyway, in goes the new one. Tighten that down. I always do the spark plugs one out, one in. It just makes sure that nothing else can fall down into the hole. So I want that hole exposed for the least time as possible. So it's literally, as soon as I pulled one out, new one's going in, and then we torque that down to 30 Newton meters. So with this first spark plug done, we've still got another 4 to go. So we just crack on with that, get the other 4 out, get the new ones all in, and torque them all down to 30 Newton meters. With all the new plugs in, I do like to double check it, so I just re-torque all of them just to make sure they are all torqued down correctly. And then give it another little blowout before you put the coils in. And bing bong bash, job done. So the oil settled in the sump, I'm just topping the oil back up to get the level correct on the crosshatch on the dipstick.
There we go, purring like a kitten. Right, well I can't get to the pollen filter while it's here because I need to get under the glove box. So when I pull this out, we'll do that. So But while it's still up here, let's bleed the brakes, because then we know it's had fresh brake fluid and we can put that in the service book as well.
Now have the correct bush, let's get that fitted.
A tip when you're doing these bushes, leave the bolt in, because why you want to keep that in, because it stops the upper bush lifting up, which makes the bolt out of line. So just use the old bolt, and then once you've got it in like that, you can then swap over and put it all back together. So now we're going to torque the bolts up. These are 50 Newton meters and then 90 degrees, and that is 100 Newton meters and 90 degrees. There we go, sorted. So I've got my pressure bleeder all hooked up, just under 20 psi. I removed the old fluid from the reservoir, not all of it, but most of it, and then topped it up and then connected that. These are 11mm. We use the proper brake spanner. So what I'll do, you've got 2 nipples on these, 1 on each side. I've got a bottle here with 2 tubes, so what I'll do, as you can see, I've got them both on. There comes the fluid from that side. Here comes the fluid from that side. I'll wait for the bottle to probably get to around about there. And then I know all the old fluid will be out of that caliper. And obviously keep an eye on your pressure as well. Don't let it drop below about 10 psi. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start from the driver side front, passenger side front, driver side rear, passenger side rear, and I've done all my Mark 2s like this, and they've been absolutely spot on, and that is what Audi says. I know you're supposed to go from the furthest distance away from the master cylinder, but Audi say do it this way, so this is the way I'm doing it. So I'll catch you in a bit once I've bed all these up. That will do for that side.
So with the brakes all bled with some nice fresh brake fluid throughout the system, I'm now going to start putting the under tray on, but I need to remove the broken bolt first. When I refit the under tray, I put all the fixes in with a nice bit of anti-seize on all the bolts and replace any missing bolts. That's another job done. So with the car on the ground, I can now go around and torque all the wheel bolts up to 120 Newton meters. So now with the car moved, we can now access the pollen filter, also known as the cabin filter, which is located under the glove box. You just literally remove 2 clips, and then down comes this little foam bit of padding. You slide this bit of plastic cover out the way, and out comes the pollen filter. You can then decide whether to hoover it out before putting the new one in, which just literally pushes in place. Put the cover back on, slide it in, and then push the little foam bit out and refit the 2 little plastic clips. Job done. So now I'm going to go around and do all the tyre pressure to get up to the manufacturer's specifications.
Sorted. So with the full service all complete now, we've done literally everything. So I just need to take a picture of the dash to get the mileage and the date that we completed this to write in the service book. And if anyone wants proof, obviously they can come back, see this video and see that it's had a full service. And they can see the previous videos where we've done the Haldex, the DSG service, and also where we've done the front and diffs. And we changed the brake fluid. So I'm just firing up the X tool just to tell the car now that it's had a service, so it can reset that. Let's wait for that to load up, and then we are job done. So there is a few little bits that I wasn't quite happy with while I was looking underneath the car. Mainly the 2 rear arms and the rear anti-roll bar. But I have got those on order, so I will be swapping them out. And we have just done an oil service. So we're doing oil reset. So we're just into the oil reset. Oil automatic settings. What's we got here? Major service has been done. Manually set. Alright, so 10,000 miles is 16,093 kilometers. So 1693. That is probably wrong. It's 16,093. So done. 365 days. 65. Done. And there we go. So our service is now now for another 10,000 miles or 365 days. So now that is our full service done. Happy days. Obviously, as I said, there's a few bits that I'm not quite happy with, which I will sort out, especially underneath those rear arms, that rear anti-roll bar, a little bit crusty. So they will be getting replaced. And also just go over the underneath just to make sure it is all in good condition. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.